Hi everyone, this is the 1906 diary series, and we've got a special one today because it is the end of 1906 for us. Starting tomorrow, it will be the 1907 diary series. So we are up to 4th December 1906, having skipped ahead quite a bit, although we did do the 3rd of December yesterday. And what was going on there? We were back in Tsarskaya Selo. Dmitri had been troubled by anxiety about traveling there, and remembered anxiety he'd had the year before going to the theater and being worried about some kind of attack. And now we are about to put this year that had its ups and downs behind us, because after the 4th December, not only are we skipping ahead to 1907, but we are also skipping ahead to September 1907. I'm sorry to say that he wasn't, for a long time, he stopped keeping his diary for the longest interval since. He's been gradually having more and more periods of giving up that activity, and now he's going to give it up for more than half a year. And when we resume, we will be at a distance not only in time but in space, because the diary entries to come in September 1907 will be written in or from the Crimea. So this will be very interesting, and I see, looking ahead, that they're very, very long diary entries that he's starting to do, maybe even a little bit of what he would do as an adult, and do a kind of summarizing diary entry about a larger period of time. But we'll see. Anyway, as sad as I am to be leaving 1906 behind, and not only that, to be leaving 15-year-old Dmitri behind, because when we resume, he will already be 16 years old. Time really flies in this instance when he's not filling in the blanks for us in his diary entry. But anyway, here we are, and it will be great fun, no doubt, being in the Crimea with a 16-year-old and with Nicholas and Alexandra, and seeing how that goes. Okay, so the 4th December, it is a Monday, and this will be their first full day since their arrival on the 3rd in Tsarskaya Selo. Okay, in the morning we went to Petersburg, where Wilson worked on our teeth. An audience was scheduled there with Dolinsky. Around 12:30, we returned home and had lunch with Uncle Nicky and Aunt Alix. What a stupid thing. While we were still in Moscow, Aunt Alix wrote Tyotia to tell her that I wouldn't be going to the big palace for dinner on the evening of the 6th. But meanwhile, I received a handwritten invitation. Now I don't know what will end up happening. After lunch, we took a walk with Uncle Nicky and told him about Moscow. He laughed a lot, especially when we told him about our Saturdays when we have guests. I'm feeling a little emotional about the parade on the 6th. What will it be like? Last year, Uncle Nicolasha drove me out of one of the menages. 7:45. Okay, boy. For our last day of 1906, we have quite an eventful one in the sense of things to talk about. So, as always in Dmitri's life, there are trips to the dentist all the way up until the last couple of years of his life. There were trips to the dentist. And so that there's nothing noteworthy about that. But what is interesting is his use of the word audience I stupidly did not look. I meant to look up Dolinsky before I did this video, and I stupidly did not. So if I have notes about him, I'm going to have to include them as a comment. And what kind of audience is our friend talking about? When I think of an audience, I think of with a reigning monarch or his spouse. And so, is this a new word that Dmitri is trying out? Yeah, I don't know. But here was Dolinsky, and here was Dmitri and Maria, and they have this engagement of some kind scheduled with Dolinsky, although I shouldn't say that it's necessarily Maria, because he doesn't use a verb that can tell me whether it was more than one person or not. He says an audience was scheduled using the passive form. So if I find anything more out about that, I will post it. Okay, then they come home, they have lunch with Uncle Nicky and Aunt Alix, but there is a new source of tension between Dmitri and Aunt Alix. Actually, it's the old source of tension between the two of them, but I had thought perhaps that was over, because now he's 15. She can no longer say he's too little to do things. And the last time there was an issue about him being included in a regimental dinner, both Laming and Aunt Ella, Tjotja, came to his aid. But this time, the same thing. Aunt Alix has decided to not only to take matters into her own hand, or to prevent there being interference, in this instance, last-minute interference from Ella, because she let Ella know, even while the three of them, Dmitri, Maria, and Ella, were still in Moscow, that Dmitri was not to go to this dinner in the big palace on the 6th. And so clearly this was a big deal. Whatever this dinner was, I guess a regimental dinner, because that's usually what happened there, either regimental or to feast some diplomat or some head of state or a royal visit or something like that. But Aunt Alix has written this preemptive letter to Ella saying, no, he is not going to be included. And in the meanwhile, as now being a young man, he has received his own invitation, his own handwritten invitation, requesting the honor of his presence. And he's wondering if that's going to change anything. The fact that he's gotten this handwritten invitation and word hasn't gotten out that he is not supposed to go to this dinner. Yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to find out because of him skipping ahead past the 6th of September. Yeah, what can I do? I guess I could look and see if any of the regiments had a feast day on the 6th, or, if there are any accounts. I'm not so... Well, I'm curious about it, but I'm not going to go and try and dig up the column that would have been in the St. Petersburg newspaper about what was going on at court and whether Grand Duke Dmitri made an appearance at this dinner. Yeah, anyway, the most interesting thing about it is that Alix is still the one who is determining, or trying to determine, what things Dmitri is allowed to go to. And it's not Nicholas. And apparently, even if it's okay with Nicholas, Alix is stepping in very decisively, and also dictating this to Ella. And why on earth would she be doing this? I don't think you're going to have the same behavioral issues that you probably had when he was 14, because he's 15 now. And he's not too little anymore, as I said. So I'm really intrigued by this, specifically because of the idea I talked about earlier, that she was uncomfortable with Dmitri being in the public eye as sort of a rival to her son. Not on a legal basis, because he wasn't even that far up in the line of succession, but in this old traditional idea of the sovereign associating his heir to be with himself in public. So, looking ahead to the Crimea, we'll see if there's anything like that there. Oh, what is that? I guess it's garbage pickup day. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so I certainly wish that he had told us. God, that's an awful sound. I certainly wish that he had told us about the guests that they were having every Saturday in Moscow. That would have been quite amusing, especially since it made Nicky laugh when he heard the description. Well, if it made Nicky laugh, then it must be a fairly lively and probably insightful and satirical account, I would think, of these guests who came for dinner. So that's a pity that we don't have that. Maybe we'll get some of that in the Crimea. And then he uses this word emotional. I'm feeling a little emotional about the parade on the 6th. And this is not a word that he will use. I can't remember a single instance of him using this word in his later writings, his letters and his diary entries. But yeah, that's just a side note. Why is he feeling emotional about the parade on the 6th? Well, for one thing, the parade on the 6th is undoubtedly connected to the dinner on the 6th, which makes me inclined, of course, to think that it was indeed a regimental dinner. And it sounds as though, even though he's not supposed to go to the dinner, it sounds as though Dmitri will possibly be included in the parade. Why else would he feel emotional about it? And why would he be worried about what is going to happen? Because last year there was an incident. Uncle Nicolasha drove me out of one of the maneges. So, these parades, when the weather is bad or too cold, as in December, they would have them in the maneges. And Uncle Nicolasha drove him out, so he doesn't use a less sort of interesting verb. He actually uses the verb to chase somebody away or to drive somebody away. So what happened there? Was he playing the clown and Uncle Nicolasha told him to leave or told somebody to take him away? I don't know. Uncle Nicolasha, Nikolai Nikolaevich, was definitely a no-nonsense guy. And if you've been watching the whole series, then you know that he was, at that time, the head of the most important military district in Russia, the Guards and St. Petersburg Military District. And he presided over all these things. The Tsar did not. And so... yeah, that was, I would love to know what that was, but Dmitri adds a little more context to what Dmitri wrote back on April 17th, when he had his big moment, when he was leading his rifle regiment, the 2nd Guards Rifle Regiment, in a parade, and he was worried about what Uncle Nicolasha was going to think, and then he was particularly pleased with the fact that Uncle Nicolasha was pleased with his performance. But yeah, he must be participating in this parade, and he must be worried about being driven out by Uncle Nicolasha. But my sense of the situation is that as long as he doesn't, play the clown in any way, he'll be fine. Anyway, that's a lot of chatter on my part, so I will say goodbye until we meet again in September 1907 in the Crimea. All right.